Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone to IE 206 Engineering Economy, and this is today is chapter 11, the replacement study part 2. And we have covered already in part 1 the economic service life, how we calculate it, and what is the benefit of the economic service life in the previous video. Today we will talk about the replacement study itself and how it is related to the economic service life. The replacement study, it can be done with either two approaches. One called without a study period, and the second one with a study period. The one without the study period is relying on the ESL that we have just learned about in the previously, and the study period is developing options for the defender and challenger based on the annual worth analysis, and we select among them. In this course, we are going to focus on this branch, on the study period, since already the economic service life, we've been practiced it previously, and there is no need to study that since it is already covered partially in the ESL. Then the decision will be just based on the ESL for the defender and the challenger. But for the study period, it's a different approach, and we will learn about it today. The study period, the replacement study, it is also depending on the annual worth analysis, but it doesn't going to consider the economic service life, even though the economic service life consider the annual worth analysis, but the formula is different. Here we calculate annual worth as we used to do it in 6, and then we make the decision for the defender and the challenger based on all the scenarios can be generated for the study period. And definitely at the end we select the option that has the lowest cost or highest income, as we usually do in the economical decisions. This is an example where is a challenger and defender, and we need to have a replacement study conducted, and we need to know when we can replace the defender with the challenger. Let's write the example first. An asset purchased 2 years ago, and it is harder to maintain than expected. It can be sold now for $12,000 or kept for a maximum of 2 more years, in which case its operating cost will be $20,000 each year with a salvage of $10,000 after 1 year. So if we keep it for another year, that will be the cost. The annual is $20,000 and the salvage is $10,000, or $9,000 after 2, which means if we kept that machine for another 2 years, the annual will be the same as $20,000, but the salvage will be $9,000 instead of the $10,000. A suitable challenger will have an annual worth of $24,000 per year, and the interest rate is 10%. Over the study period of exactly 2 years, determine when the defender should be replaced with the challenger. Okay, the defender information here was given as it can be sold now, starting with here, for a 12,000, and that we consider it as a minus, as a loss of opportunity. If we didn't sell the machine now, and we are going to keep it, we consider that, as we said, it is opportunity, and we lost it, and it will be by minus sign. It is going to be kept for a maximum of 2 years, which means this year is considered as year 1 if we are going to sell the machine this year. But if we're going to keep it, then the scenario is going to be for year 2 and year 3, whereas year 2 has the annual worth of $20,000 and the salvage is $10,000. and year 3 will be the annual 20,000 and the salvage will be 9,000. This is in terms of the defender. The challenger, it can be replaced with the defender for any of those 3 given years. Either this year, which is now, when it says it's sold now, so the challenger can be replacing the defender now in year 1, or we can replace it on year after, which is, we can call it year 2, where is the information applied to the defender, or it can be replaced on year 3 after the salvage will be 9,000 for the defender. Let's see, break down all these scenarios and see it here. This is, again, is the same example. From the previous analysis, the annual worth of the defender for year 1 and 2 is given or calculated as it shows here in the solution. How this 23,200 is being calculated? For the first year, we have the initial opportunity, which is the 12,000. It has to be converted to an annual from a present, and for the number of years is 1, minus 20,000, which is the annual of the defender for the first year, and the salvage, that is the 10,000 replaced to an annual from future for 1 year, and that will be, so the formulation will be for the 23,200 is going to be minus 12,000 A given P for 10% for year 1, minus 20,000, no need to convert because it is already annual, plus 10,000 multiplied with A given F for 10% for year 1, and that will equal to 23,200, or approximately is going to be so. Okay, for the annual worth for the defender for year 2, which means that we are going to keep the defender for 2 years. If we are going to do that, we will do the formulation as is, minus 12,000 A given P multiplied A given P with the 10% for 2 years, minus 20,000, no need to be converted, plus 9,000 multiplied with A given F 10% for 2 years, and that will give us the 22,629. Okay, if we are going to use the challenger from the first year, so we have only this cost of the challenger, which is the 24,000. That will be the cost, and that will remove all, if we are going to, or if we are decided the challenger will be replaced now, so that will be the annual cost, and all the defender costs will be eliminated, because that means the defender is already gone. Okay, so in this case, the 24,000 in the option 1, we have the challenger to be replaced the defender now, and that's mean year 1 and year 2 and year 3, the annual worth, it will be 24,000, because this is basically what you have is the challenger cost, and the defender is already gone. But if we decide to keep the defender for 1 more year, that means most of the annual worth for the defender to be kept for 1 year will be placed on year 1, and the cost of the challenger will be started from year 2 and year 3. If we decide to keep the defender for the maximum of the 2 more years, which as it stays here in the example, that means the defender will be kept for year 1 and year 2, and in that case we will have the annual worth for the 2 years of keeping the defender, which is the 22,629, and the challenger annual worth cost will be introduced on year 3. Now, to have the annual worth for each option, we can rely on the average of each row to have the annual worth for each option. Based on the annual worth, we select the most economical one, which is the least cost, which was found to be option 3, where you keep the defender for 2 years and you replace it with the challenger on the 3rd year. Those years are representing the values on those years are representing the annual worth for each element in the bracket here. The first option, it says C, which is challenger, challenger, and challenger for 3 years. That's mean we will keep, or we will replace the challenger and keep it for the 3 years and replace it with the defender. On the second option, it says D, which is defender, then C and C. Then it means that the first year we are going to keep the defender, but on the second year we will purchase the challenger and keep it for the study period, which is 2 years. If we decide to keep the challenger, the defender for the maximum, that will be the option 3. When it says defender for the first year, then defender for the second year, and challenger for the 3rd year. If you open this file in the PowerPoint format, you will see this bracket formatted correctly, better than how it shows here in the blackboard. So the value of the annual worth of the 24,000, that came from the annual worth of using the defender the 23,200, that came from the annual worth of the defender that when it kept for only 1 year. The 24,000 that you see it here, that is the annual worth for the challenger to be used for the given time, whether here for 3 years or for 2 years or for 1 year, because it's the only information or cost that is given in the question, which is the annual operating cost, the 24,000 per year. Okay. So at the end, as we said, we take the average to find the annual worth average for those 3 options, and we select the one that is more economical. This is the part where is the replacement study needed to be learned. In the second part of this chapter, we will learn about a concept that is very important, that you may use it even in your in reality, in daily life, or in your regular life, not even if you are working with a company or industry, which is the replacement value. The replacement value is the market value for the defender that is compared to the challenger. When I want to defend the challenger, I need to know how much should my defender be worth that time on the market, so I replace it with a certain challenger. If we consider it in real life, you have a car or your used car and you want to replace it with another car. So the replacement value is the value of your current car that need to be worth. So the trade-off with the other car, which is whether it was new or it is used like your car, it will give you the best option. So in this case, we equalize the annual worth for the defender with the annual worth of the challenger, and we keep the present value of the defender as unknown, and that will consider to be the replacement value. If you recall, in this example, we have the 12,000. This is considered to be a replacement value. A replacement value for the defender if it was going to be given away. So we are going to use the same example, and we try in this example to find the RV, which is the replacement value for the defender. In this case, we are going to have the information that was given for the defender, which is, by the way, there is a slight different than the previous example, because here the RV, it is unknown. It is different than previously. So we need to reread the question again. An asset purchased for 2 years ago for a 40,000, and it is harder to maintain than expected. So it was purchased by 40,000 2 years ago. It can be sold now for 20 or for 12,000, or kept for a maximum of 2 more years. In which case, its operating cost will be 20,000 each year, with a salvage value of 10,000 at the end of year 2. A suitable challenger will have an initial cost 65,000 and an annual cost of 15,000, with a salvage value 18,000 after 5 years. Determine the RV of the defender that will render its annual worth equal to the challenger using the interest rate 10%, and recommend a course of action. Okay, so whenever we hear that we need to find the RV or the replacement, we have to equalize the annual worth for each option, which is the defender and the challenger. In the defender case, the first cost will be considered as an unknown, because we need to find it as for now. If you think about the 12,000, what it gives in the information, or what it represents in here in this example, it represents the value if it's kept, if it is going to be kept and used, or if it is going to be sold now with the challenger. But we don't know how much the challenger has to be, so it can be replaced with the defender. So in this case, the 12,000, if it is going to be sold now, regardless of the challenger cost, okay? So we cannot consider the 12,000 as a RV here, because we don't have the equilibrium between that and the annual worth of the challenger cost, okay? So we consider the annual operating cost, which is the 20,000, and the salvage, which has to be converted to an annual for 2 years. And why it is 4? Because this machine, it can be kept only for 2 years only. About the challenger, we have the initial cost, which is the 65,000, and you can see here the 65,000, it was not considered here when we compare the 12,000. So that's why, I mean, when we mentioned the 12,000, it was not considering the 65,000. So now we have to consider the cost that you are going to pay for this challenger, but it need to be converted to an annual. As you can see, annual given P 10% for 5 years. And why it is 5? Because the challenger year life is 5. Minus the 15,000, which is the annual cost, plus the 18,000, which is A given F for 10% and 5 year, which is the salvage. When you solve this problem for RV, you get the replacement value, the 24,222, which means the RV, or the replacement value for the defender, it has to be 24,222. So you can replace it with the challenger now. Otherwise, you need to do a replacement study and see what is the best year where you can replace your defender with the challenger. That's all for chapter 11. All what it needs from you to master the replacement study in this part, I mean, of this video, the replacement study for study period by using the annual worth for all the scenarios of replacing the defender with the challenger based on the given information in the case, and the replacement value, where is the market trade value for the defender when the annual worth of the defender equalized with the annual worth of the challenger. That's all for the chapter 11. I hope you enjoyed it and see you in next chapter. Goodbye.